So here I am, out on the streets with my head in my hands. I've got no plans, only to see you again. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I like being kicked on the ground. I'm not that strong, but then I come to my senses. Yeah, I'm coming. You can feel my power, and I feel what is real when she feels me. And I feel what is real when she feels me. And I feel to that man with the scar on his face. It's a charade. It's just the way you've been living. Yeah! I'm coming. You can feel my power. And I feel what is real when she feels it. And I feel what is real when she feels me. Yeah. And I feel what is real when she feels me. And I feel what is real when she feels me. Yeah. And I feel what is real when she feels me. And I feel what is real when she feels me. Yeah. And I
Hi everyone, Dan here, and I just wanted to put a little snippet about Astroworld and what we do because I want to start getting the word out because I think it's becoming more and more of a giant community, and I want to get the word out to some other people. So what we do at Astroworld is We hold astrophotography chats on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we just talk astrophotography. Wednesday's more of a techie kind of advanced intermediate, and Fridays is more of a newbie kind of thing. So if you want to check us out, and if you want to, hang out with some semi-decent people that like to go off the rails a little bit and have fun while they're doing it, come check us out at astroworldweb.com, and you can check out the schedule, and you can sign up for all the free giveaways that we do. We just gave away an Eagle 4 Pro, an Optolong filter kit, Charles Brackenstein's books, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So come to astroworldweb.com, hang out with us, have a good time, and as always, remember to keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Where did my color go? Got your head in the sand. You can't be in control using a powerful hand. I wanna be you, I wanna see you. Don't taste the kisses of hate. Don't try to tell me, don't try to sell me, don't try to say it's too late. You're gonna push me to the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shoes. Push me to the edge, hot little color, it's black and white and blue. Black and white and blue, yeah. All right. Cat learns to ring a bell. Rat gets free from the maze. We can be taught to love. We've got to learn a new way. I wanna see you, I wanna be you. Don't taste the kisses of hate. Don't try to tell me, don't try to sell me, don't try to say it's too late. You're gonna push me to the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shadows. Push me to the edge, hot little color, it's black and white and blue. Black and white and blue, yeah. I wanna be, I wanna see, don't taste the kisses of hate. Don't try to tell me, don't try to sell me, don't try to say it's too late. Push me to the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shoes. Push me to the edge, hot little color, it's black and white and blue. Yeah, black and white and blue. You're going black and white on the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shoes. Push me to the edge, hot little on my telescope now. Get what's wrong with this thing.
Another lost Lone Ranger. Can I break this spell? You want things right, I make you do things wrong. If I want that fine line, I will always take the fall. If I just do the left, watch it hit from the right. I sleep all day long, then I'm dreaming through the night. I've seen a lot of bankers, and I've seen a lot of cops. I've seen a lot of lawyers pull out all the stops. I've seen a lot of children with their parents in their hands. I felt a lot of women who refuse to understand. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take the world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. You see it in the papers, you read it every day. The riots and the fires going on in South LA. The muggers and the government, they're all wanting the same thing. They take you for your money, I whatever else bring. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me. Come of all of us, and I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. 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 Guitar Players Planet.
Are you ready for the next solar eclipse? October, annular eclipse. Oh. Don't let your glasses fall off when there's a solar eclipse. You might hurt yourself. Let's try that again. Are you ready for the next solar eclipse? Are you ready for it? October 14th this year is an annular eclipse, followed by April, another total solar eclipse, and you can get your own branded Astro telescope solar glasses made by American Paper Optics today on the website, astrotelescopes.com, or give me a call, 516-273-3771, and we can get you a set of 4 of these for $9.99. come on down again, AstroWorldTelescopes.com, and keep imaging as long as you don't have a solar shade on. Keep educating. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Seems to me that I have lost my friend. Got the sunset off the highway again. Then I get lost on a long summer day. I must go back before it's too late. You're afraid you're feeling alone. Time and space can never afford. The holidays can ring in your fear. The ghostly embrace can only mean tears. And I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back for land of blue. Oh, na 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 na. Sitting at the lake, I'm feeling confused, but I had my guitar, so I played this blues. But I'm afraid, what might be true, that I might never be back again. Seems to me that I've lost my friend.
It's gotta mean something. It's gotta.
So here I am, out on the streets with my head in my hands. I've got no plans, only to see you again. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I like being kicked on the ground. I'm not that strong, but then I come to my senses. Yeah! I'm coming, you can feel my power. And I feel what is real when she feels me. And I feel what is real when she feels me. And I feel
Don't do that man with the scar on his face. It's a charade. It's just the way you've been living. Yeah! I'm coming. You can feel my power. Yeah. And I feel what is real when she feels it. And I feel what is real when she feels me, yeah. And I feel what is real when she feels me. And I feel what is real when she feels me, yeah. And I feel what is real when she feels me. And I feel what is real when she feels me, yeah. And I feel
Hi everyone, Dan here, and I just wanted to put a little snippet about Astroworld and what we do because I want to start getting the word out because I think it's becoming more and more of a giant community, and I want to get the word out to some other people. So what we do at Astroworld is we hold astrophotography chats on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we just talk astrophotography. Wednesday's more of a techie kind of advanced intermediate, and Fridays is more of a newbie kind of thing. So if you want to check us out, and if you want to, hang out with some semi-decent people that like to go off the rails a little bit and have fun while they're doing it, come check us out at astroworldweb.com, and you can check out the schedule, and you can sign up for all the free giveaways that we do. We just gave away an Eagle 4 Pro, an Optilong filter kit, Charles Brackenstein's books, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So come to astroworldweb.com, hang out with us, have a good time, and as always, remember to keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
all right. did my color go? Got your head in the sand. You can't be in control, using a powerful hand. I wanna be ya, I wanna see ya. Don't taste the kisses of hate. Don't try to tell me, don't try to sell me, don't try to say it's too late. You're gonna push me to the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shoes. Push me to the edge, hide a little color, it's black and white and blue. Black and white and blue, yeah. All right. Cat learns to ring a bell. Rat gets free from the maze. We can be taught to love. We've got to learn a new way. I wanna see you, I wanna be you. Don't taste the kisses of hate. Don't try to tell me, don't try to sell me, don't try to say it's too late. You're gonna push me to the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shadows. Push me to the edge, add a little color, it's black and white and blue. Black and white and blue. Yeah. I wanna be, I wanna see, don't taste the kisses of hate. Don't try to tell me, don't try to sell me, don't try to say it's too late. Push me to the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shoes. Push me to the edge, hide a little color, it's black and white and blue. Yeah, black and white and blue. You're gonna black and white on the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shoes. Push me to the edge, hide a little color, it's black and white and blue. Black and white and blue.
What the hell's wrong with my telescope now? Damn, what's wrong with this thing?
The lost Lone Ranger, can I break this spell? You want things right.
All right, how's it going, everybody? And we are here tonight, and we have a lot of people tonight. This is a lot more than we've had in a while, and it's nice to see everybody. First, let me say hi to our guest, Nico Carver. Welcome. Welcome to your first solo appearance. You were on Astropalooza, but your first solo appearance tonight with us. So welcome.
Thanks, yeah, it's great to be here. Happy 2024.
Yeah. We all made 2023 is gone, and we got a lot to discuss regarding what's happened last year, maybe what's coming forward. So it's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
fun talking about that. But before we get into that, let's for those of you that don't know this, we do have some sponsors, and we do have people that give us free stuff to give away to the membership, and we got to say thank you to everybody. So let's do that before we get down to brass tacks here. So um, there we go. So for those of you that are new to the show, welcome to the show. It's great to have you, and you're in for a treat because you got Nico Carver with us, and it's going to be a lot of fun catching up with him. But we got sponsors that give us a lot of free stuff. Prima Luce and Optolong have been two of our main sponsors, so thank you to them. Be on the lookout, and if you're not involved with any of the giveaways, go to astroworldweb.com and sign up for the giveaways because we did purge all of the wheels, so we're starting fresh. We got rid of all the people, so if you already signed up for them, sign up for them again. Thank you also to Masters of Pixel Insight and IP4AP. We give out a free Masters of Pixel Insight. Whoa, Masters of Pixel Insight workshop every Friday night, and every month we give away a free IP4AP yearly subscription. That's $100 value. We give that away once a month. So definitely get involved with these giveaways. Plus, our parent company, Astro World Telescopes. So if you need anything, you can come and email me as well. For those of you that don't know, again, most of us know by now already that a good friend of the show, Nigel Arnold, has passed away. He lost his battle with cancer back in December. And there's a GoFundMe page that was started by Luca Matico, Luke Newbold. Feel free to go there to the GoFundMe page, and all the monies that are raised are going to Cancer Research UK in the memory of Nigel. So it's a really good cause. Please, Nigel, if you know Nigel, he was a great guy, and we're gonna miss him. So tonight we have Nico Carver from nebulaphotos.com, and we're going to be talking with him about what's happened in 23 and what may be going on in 24. So we're going to be talking about some really good conversations. So stay tuned for that. January 17th, we have Maxi Falieres. He's my friend from Argentina. He's an astrophotographer out there, and he's also a speaker at the Global Star Party. You might have caught him on the Global Star Party from Explore Scientific on Tuesday nights. He does a lot of presentations on that. Followed by another GSPer the following week, Adrian Bradley. He's known as the Nightscaper. That's him taking a picture of something, and looks like maybe an Esprit scope or in a Taurad or something. It looks like he's doing some visual, but he also took that photo in the background as well. So he does a lot of really good nightscapes. February 14th, we have Greg Crinklaw coming on from Sky Tools. So come and check that out. He's going to be, a lot of people were asking in the chat over the past couple of shows about how can you use Sky Tools to image and use the imaging sequencer. So we got him on. So February 14th. Actually, there's a slide missing still. February 7th, in between Adrian and Greg, we're going to have Sean, Ron Breacher coming on February 7th as well. And then sometime whenever he releases APP 2.0, Mabula promised he would be on to talk about all of the new processes involved with APP 2.0. So it's going to be a lot of fun having him on. And we couldn't do it as well without all of our members that are on Patreon or on YouTube. Everybody that's involved with it, thank you so much. It gets us more gifts for everybody. It gets us the table at Neve. It gets us all this kind of stuff. So if you're not a Patreon and or YouTube member, feel free. There's lots of great perks. You get gift certificates, you get shirts, you get tote bags, you get coffee mugs, and it's a lot of fun. So feel free to go hit us up on either Patreon or YouTube. And thank you for everybody for all the support that everybody has given us over the past 5 years. So that being said, we're back at the 5 Up, and we're live here. And again, thanks Nico for coming on. Sean, thank you as well. And we got, for those of you, we got Pete on the top right. That is back at the prodigal son. The prodigal son has returned, or should I say the prodigal father? I don't know. I don't know who's younger. So and then we got the fifth honeymooner, Dave Schaefer is here, and so we're here. So Nico, again, welcome to the show, and how's things going?
Things are going really good. I've been working on this observatory, and it's been really nice to have a mild winter up here in New Hampshire because I've been able to get a lot more done because we haven't had a lot of snow until very recently. So I got the metal roll-off roof done just before this recent snow, and so it's now sort of a functional observatory. So it's fun for me because it's been something sort of on my mind, probably since the first year I started astrophotography. Like, oh, I'd love to have my own observatory. So now I finally have one. It feels sort of surreal.
I mean, we were talking about it offline too, and how amazing is it going to be, to the amount of data that you're just going to be able to get just by running the sequence. And if it clouds up, it closes up, and if it clears up at 3 o'clock in the morning, it'll open up and continue the sequence. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, I did 2 piers. So another thing I'm really excited about is I love doing the same target, but like one wider angle and one more close up. I love that kind of thing. So I'm really excited about that too. When I do that mobile, sometimes I'll do it with like a star tracker and a lens and then a telescope. But now I think there's all kinds of different combinations I could try out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun, and then with the equipment that you got, and the ability, and not to mention the skies that you have out there, or up there rather, in the middle of the country.
Yeah, that was a big thing that happened this year. Is I went full time with Nebula Photos, and so that's what allowed me to move from the Boston area where I had a full-time job to up here. And so going from Bortle 8 to Bortle 3, that was another huge change. Definitely really cool. But then what happened was, I got spoiled on those Bortle 3 skies in the winter. And then over the summer, we had the wildfire smoke, and it almost didn't feel like Bortle 3 anymore, because it was like the transparency was so bad that it was just, it felt sort of yucky a lot of the time.
It was that was Sean's fault, I think, right? That was...
Yeah, right.
Those Canadians.
Yeah, Canada is to blame for it all.
I'm gonna start doing the Blame Canada song in the background,
Yes.
No, but yeah, no, it's. I mean, imagine going from Long Island to your skies. I mean, the only way I could get that is to drive like 7 hours to do that, and it's Long Island's like one of the worst places in the United States to even try and do what we do, and to have that kind of advantage, is just it's great. It's good. You're gonna get some awesome data. I can't wait.
Yeah, I used to always, when I lived in, so I lived in Somerville, which is just outside of Boston. And so you could do narrowband, but I ended up not doing much astrophotography from Somerville, just because it was just as much hassle to, like set up all my gear, because I lived in a 3rd floor walk up. So I was like, I'll just leave the gear in the car and drive 2 hours every time I want to image. But then when you do that, like, I don't know, 40 or 50 nights of the year, it gets pretty tiring to just be out all night, drive 2 hours back, that kind of thing. So I'm spoiled now, definitely.
Yeah, well, good for you. I mean, I wish I had that type of spoilage. I mean, I'll go send some telephone wires your way. I'll send those.
Yeah.
So I know we were talking offline about, and we could throw this out to the entire group as well about 2023 has been a really transformative year in astrophotography and astronomy in general, going from James Webb to AI. I mean, why don't we talk? I know you wanted to talk a little bit about that, but why don't you give us your thoughts on 23 and what's coming up, hopefully.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that I thought was interesting that happened was, the smart telescopes really got popular and then affordable. So I think the big one, is the Sea Star that just hit right at the end of the year. So I think we're really going to see that revolution sort of continue into 2024, and we'll see how many new people get into astrophotography from that. And then I guess my sort of big question, I'm working on a video right now, is there's not really a clear upgrade path from a smart telescope, right? Like if you get any other kind of astrophotography gear, you can keep the camera and change out the telescope or change out the mount or all these different components. The smart telescope, where it's all in one, it's like you can't change out the different parts. So if you want to upgrade, you're just buying something completely new. So I wonder how many people who get the smart telescopes are going to stay with the hobby, or if they're just going to stick to that one device, or what they're going to do.
That's a good point. Does anybody want to chime in on there?
Well, the only thing I can think of is at least the Sea Star isn't a bank breaker.
Okay.
So if you start with the Sea Star, you're not breaking the bank to do it.
That's true.
To where, some of the other ones, the new Celestron one's going to break the bank, $4,000. You can get a great astrophotography rig for $4,000 that is upgradable, and you can, work around it and do all kinds of different things with. But yeah, that's the nice thing about the Sea Star, is the affordability of it. What was one of the first ones? The Stellina. That was like $3,000 or something.
Yeah, you had the Vespera and the Stellina. That was like one of the first ones. So they came out with the Vespera at like $4,000, and then the Stellina came out at $2,500, and they brought it down to like $2,000 and so on. It was still rather expensive, but
but for a beginner, I think the Sea Star is a great price point to where okay. Then you might look into it and go, okay, well, what can I do? And then you potentially fall down the proverbial rabbit hole of, all kinds of different equipment.
Personally, I think the issue is going to be is that you can take the raw data, and having these telescopes and having these detectors is fantastic. But the big issue, once again, is the post-processing. That's where the time consumption comes in. And I think a lot of people are going to say, well, wait a minute, I want something where it's just like taking my cell phone. I want to be able to hold it up and take a picture. It doesn't work like this with astrophotography at this current stage. Not to say in the future we might get AI to come in and make post-processing a lot easier.
Do it on the scope.
Yeah. I think that
it's coming out.
Yeah. Well, you know what, and that'll probably come sooner than we expect. But I think that the Sea Star and smart and like those smart telescopes, I think they're great for getting people interested in the night sky and allowing them to see objects that they've never seen before in a way that is going to be appealing. Because I mean, when I did outreach and I showed people things, they were, there was a bit of wow to it for them, but a lot of people were disappointed. They're like, that's it? Like, what am I looking at here? Am I just looking at that little fuzzy glob? It doesn't really, oh, that's a galaxy. Oh, okay, that's great. And on they went. With the Sea Star as example, you can, take images and have it stacked for you, and you can see that galaxy like you've never seen it before in a lot of situations. So it's going to be very appealing, I think, for a lot of people. I know there's a lot of visual people that just like to look around. They aren't into necessarily doing astrophotography or something like that, but they just want to look around, and the Seastar gives them that ability to do that. And who knows, you know, I think you're going to have both sides. You're going to have those people that don't really advance with it. They're happy to use it as it is, and they enjoy it. And then you'll have a small section of that which will, you know, it'll pique their curiosity, and they'll want to move into a more dedicated astrophotography rig, something that's upgradable and expandable and so forth. So I think it's just fantastic what's happening with them. I mean, I have a Volley using mine, the Seastar. I get the imaging rigs set up, get them running, and fire the Seastar up and just look around. And you know, it's a lot of fun just to do that. And then, you know, you can obviously, if you want to take it a step further, you can process those images too. So I think it's really fantastic what's happening, and the technology emerging, the advancements that are occurring in our hobby, just mind-blowing for sure.
Yeah, so the Seastar is definitely a hot topic. You know, I mean, unbelievable what ZWO has been doing. It just comes out with a bang, and you know, and you know, they came on with the ASI, the Seastar. So Nico, what do you think about as far as the Seastar? Do you see it as like I kind of see it as a stepping stone kind of thing, like you know, if you're into it, you'll move further. But what do you think about that?
I guess my one thing I'm thinking about with it is it's so easy. It's like that anyone who's used a smartphone app could probably control that telescope and get good pictures from it. That if they start with that and then go to something more complicated, it's going to feel like sort of a weird transition, I think, because it's like, well, why am I going from this thing that is so easy and intuitive to what we know of as astrophotography, which I feel like is unintuitive and difficult to get started in, and frustrating. So that I don't know. I don't know if I see it as a stepping stone or not. But I think for outreach, like Sean was saying, where it's like the big telescopes are great for planets and the moon and things like that, but a lot of new people might not really get the appeal of looking at deep sky objects through the eyepiece. And so I think Star there makes a lot of sense in terms of like showing someone on the tablet, and it's like this little thing is capturing that right now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I remember when I did outreach. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pete.
Well, no, I was just going to say it kind of almost maybe, if I can say something, separates the men from the boys. Meaning, we have the millennials and Generation ZXY who really just don't have the time to be able to say, "Hey, I don't want to post process. I want to just be able to take an image and bingo, there it is." Whereas with us boomer generations or generations, you know,
Hey, I'm
we
Gen
like
X.
doing this.
Don't badmouth Gen X.
We like to do the post processing because we really just fine tune what we want to do, because we want to make that 2x3 print and put it up on the wall, right?
And Pete, in all fairness, I think you're the only boomer
He's the
here.
only boomer.
So
Are you telling me I'm showing my age?
never. I would never say that ever. Guy still plays hockey. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so the Seastar is a big one. What else has been going on in 2023?
Let's see. I know I reviewed some of the harmonic mounts. I know you, Dan, have the Nix 101. That's a cool mount. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Those two is the harmonic mounts are like Ioptron's making those really big ones, because it's like when I first heard about the harmonic mounts, I didn't really think they were going to make big ones, because I was like, well, if you need a big telescope, why do you need a harmonic mount? But I don't know. Maybe people want that, you know.
I think part of the allure of it is the no counterweight option. So even though it is bigger, you don't have to carry around, you know, 2 20-pound counterweights either. So I think that's part of it. But I think you're right, though, in the way of, you know, these things were made to be portable, and now they're not portable anymore. So
Yeah, I
why do
saw,
I need a harmonic mount that can carry 100 pounds? I mean, I don't know. You know, I guess it's one way to look at it, because you do lose the counterweights and you do lose everything, and you carry them out in a little bag, you know, and it's nice. But I mean, you're just going to be carrying another 150 pounds worth of telescopes gear to put on top of it anyway. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, I saw, Nico, you were talking about the mounting plate for the Knicks that they have with the power box built
yeah,
in.
yeah,
And
the
all
new
that.
saddle.
That's a cool saddle, and I mean, that's something that probably everybody's going to start doing now too.
Pete's going to
Yeah,
have his in 2
I
weeks.
feel like Ioptron started that a little bit with like the I think some of their
The iMate.
yeah, they have some of that kind of stuff, but the Pegasus one is really nice, I gotta say. It has just like the right amount of ports and options on it.
It's interesting is the history of this is that when my days at OPT, the Hobit crux mounts were the very first harmonic drive mounts to come out. And I sold the first 320. And that was back in 2016. And it's funny to watch how this thing has just evolutionized now. And now you've got everybody coming on to the playing field. But you're right. It's going to come down to which ones are going to offer more features benefits. And I think really right now the Pegasus offers the better features benefits of all the harmonic drive mounts.
Yeah, I would agree with that entirely. Yeah, for sure.
And I love it. I love being able to take this thing and put it on my shoulder with the head and the legs and everything, and my telescope for that matter, and carry it on my shoulder in the house, because
Yeah.
it's, I mean, I don't do that with my astrophysics scope, but I mean, you know, just, I'll sit there and do like my FRA 400. I'll do my, my Red Cat and stuff like that. And I can take it and I can just throw it on my shoulder and bring it inside. I'm not even have to take it apart. Eagle, everything on top of it, just throw it in there, and it weighs nothing. It's a really great piece of machinery.
Yeah, as you say, in terms of the big things that are coming out in 2024, as you say, the optics have been really pushed to the limit now with fast optics, fast scopes, fast focal ratios. You look at the glass and the mirrors now, and what you've got. You've got mirrors now coated in silver and gold for IR. It's incredible. I really think that in terms of the equipment, you really can't push that too much more now. But I think the post-processing with AI technology is really going to be the thing of the future. That you can take some maybe images that were kind of, man, not so good, but you might be able to kind of maybe perform miracles with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So, all right. So what about, all right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room then. And I'm not talking about Pete, but let's talk about the whole AI revolution kind of that's been going on maybe a little bit, because that's something that's been really at the spotlight for a lot of the later half of last year. So what do you guys think about all this AI incorporation now? Even with the Celestron Origin is flaunting that it's AI, controlled, which they kind of allude to it, but don't really say what that means. So I'd like to get some more information on that as well. But I mean, well, Nico, let's start with you. And what do you think about all the incorporation of AI into everything we're doing?
So yeah, I mean, I remember when Topaz Denoise AI first got popular among astrophotographers, and I tried it a lot, and I never liked it aesthetically, what it was doing to my images. So
Me neither.
I stopped using it, but then there was more of a debate about like, well, is it ethical to use it? And I never really had an issue with that, because I've always sort of approached astrophotography as art. So I don't the way I do it, at least, I don't think that any tool is sort of off limits. I just didn't like what it was doing to sort of the noise profiles in my images, even with very low settings. So I stopped using it. But then, of course, Russell Croman's tools got really popular. So I started using those. And yeah, I think Blur Exterminator is the first one where I was just blown away by it. Like I was just, that one is really incredible, what it does. Because if deconvolution I did eventually sort of determine a way to do deconvolution, but it's still, even with all the like my steps that I would follow, sometimes it just wouldn't really work out quite like I wanted. But with Blur Exterminator, it just seems like it always works. So I don't know. Yeah, some kind of magic there.
I was cursing Russ when Blur Exterminator came out, because I was reprocessing everything I could find. It didn't matter what it was. I was going back over the years. I was grabbing this, grabbing that. I was reprocessing. I was like, "Damn you, Russ!"
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's like, that was the thing. It was like you'd go through all those steps to do deconvolution, and some data sets, your steps would work great. Some data sets, it just never worked. And
nope, you
and
either
Russell
got
comes
too much
out,
ringing
and
or
it's
too much
one button,
worms,
and
there was
it
a lot of steps. There was a lot of steps.
There's
to
a
do
lot
the
of steps to
there
do.
was,
that.
yeah.
And
Took a long
that
time.
even plays into noise exterminator as well. A lot of steps to do proper noise reduction in PixInsight in particular, and now it's just basically a click of a button. You just drag and drop and away you go. It's just phenomenal what's happening.
And the Star Exterminator, I mean, it's just it's so nice now that you can just take stars out, work on your nebulosity or your galaxy and all that, and then you can put them back in.
So isn't it like the first version of software, right? The first version of software is kind of like, let's throw it out there, let's see how people like it. Nah, it doesn't work good. Let's fine tune it. The second or third generation software really starts to refine it. I guarantee you in 24, you're going to see some really interesting AI technology come in for post-processing. It's going to be exciting to watch because you're going to get involved in third, fourth generation technology. And it's going to make these steps so much easier now. So instead of doing multiple steps, you might only do one or two steps, and you're going to get the image that you want afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I love Russ's stuff, and I think it's been great. I'm gonna echo some of the stuff in the chat. I can't put up there, but I agree with all the comments about Topaz, and I think I tried it 3 times, and then I got rid of it. I didn't even extend it past the trial period because it was just it damaged so much stuff. It was just like I was like,
there was a lot of damage that was done by that.
It was a lot of damage.
I think if you're doing like regular photography, light photos, like
like pictures of people's faces and trees and stuff like that.
Yeah, it probably works great, but not for Astro. I don't think it was designed for that, and that's the problem. Where Russell's stuff is all designed and targeted towards astrophotography, and that's what makes his stuff so much better.
Yeah. So what else did we see in 2023? We saw a lot of stuff going on, a lot of new stuff.
There were a lot of amateur discoveries, like that M31 arc was incredible.
Unbelievable.
Just really, really cool. And I think that's going to continue. Since I made that video about how I found that reflection nebula, I've had so many people reaching out, asking me questions about this whole field of, the amateur astrophotography, that we can do this. Is like, if you find something unusual in one of your images, how to research it, how to figure out, has this been found before? Has this been cataloged, and all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting.
So I mean, since we're on this topic of it, and you sound like you've done some research on it. What are the steps in doing something like that? If I find something, who do I contact?
So there's not one person to contact, really. I mean, if you find something in the solar system, like a meteor or something like that, or an asteroid, then you can contact like the Minor Planet Center. because they track those things. But for deep sky objects, it's not really just like one group. You can't just contact like the International Astronomical Union and say, I found something. They're not going to pay any attention because they don't really care. So there are certain professional astronomers, though, that are interested, especially around planetary nebulae. There's a number of research groups that really have a lot of interest in planetary nebulae. So if you find a planetary nebula, you know that there's the hot white dwarf in the center, and that it's undiscovered, you can register it with planetarynebulae.net, and they'll take a look at it. So there's certain kinds of deep sky objects where there is a clear path. Other ones, like what I found, a reflection nebula, there is no clear path. So all I did was just say, I found this, and have done the literature review to know that it's not in any catalogs, and then announced that on AstroBin. So that's not really official. To make it official, it would have to get published, right? So you can write up a research paper yourself and submit it to the research notes for the AAS, but I didn't do that. It's a lot of work to do that, and I just didn't feel like it was worth it for me. Maybe if I found like a whole collection of reflection nebulae, like 20 of them, then I would sort of feel like, okay, I should write a paper and actually get this official. But that's the main path, is either like write a research paper yourself, write one with a professional astronomer, or if it's a planetary nebula, you can actually just submit it to these guys in France and they'll take a look at it.
That's pretty interesting, because it's there is still being, like you said, there are lots of stuff still being discovered to this day. Just, I mean, it wasn't last year, but I remember when the Flux Nebula, the IFN, was just all over the place, and we're like, oh my God, look at all this stuff. We all thought it was garbage, and now it's like really cool cloud formations in the sky. It's pretty awesome. And I mean, just more, not more recently, but another one, the biggest one, recent one that I can think of, is the Bubble Nebula, which was just staring people in the face for years. And somebody said, "Hey, what's that?" and they found the Bubble Nebula, and it was pretty amazing. But to your point, I mean, just keep on imaging and looking at your images. So it's one thing to sit there and say, a lot of people don't do this, and I don't even do this, to be honest with you. When I take a look at the image and I'm imaging, let's say, I don't know, the North American Nebula, we'll throw it out there. And a lot of people are, when they do their processing, are more concerned of the aesthetics of the North American Nebula, not actually looking at what they're imaging, and they just see the North, and they don't kind of totally with a fine-tooth comb look through things to find other things inside. You know what I mean? Unless if it jumps out at you, they're not really going to go search.
And yeah, that close looking is an important point. So I sort of jumped ahead to like what to do if you find something, but if you want to find something in one of your images, you have to start by really closely looking at the data. And the tools to remove the stars are very important for that, StarNet or Star Exterminator, because what you'd want to do if let's say you're shooting mono, run one of those star removal tools on every filter. Because, for instance, when I found this reflection nebula, I found it on the blue filter, right? So you normally maybe wouldn't, in your normal processing, remove the stars on just the blue filtered data. But that's what I did to find this in my old data. I don't know why I was doing that, but I did, and then it just popped it right out at me as something weird looking. And then when I looked it up, I could not find any references to it. And then that started, a few months of trying to find any references to it before I just determined there wasn't anything. But yeah, I think the star removal and the very closely looking throughout the whole image, making sure, okay, does anything look odd here? Is there anything that I don't know already about this image? And another interesting thing I think is that a lot of times people think you have to go to a really weird part of the sky to find something, but a lot of times like this, the M31 arc or all these different discoveries, they're right off popular objects, but they just might be really, really dim. So no one's ever found them. Or like another example is that Squid Nebula, right? People had imaged that flying bat, that H2 region many, many times, but it took a deep integration with the O3 for the squid to pop out
To
there.
pull that out. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like when you blink images in Pixelsight, where you're blinking through all your images, and you always see that one little dot that's as you're blinking through, cruising across the sky. You realize, oh, that's some asteroid. You can go and you can figure out, okay, what is that? And then, of course, you always find out somebody knows what it is.
Yep.
But it's cool. You see, wow, I caught that asteroid going through my field of view, for an hour,
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
That's always a lot of fun. I mean, unfortunately, I was talking to Sean earlier about, I haven't really imaged since Starfest. I mean, back in, what was that, August? So yeah. So I mean, the next time I image will probably be Cherry Springs in June, because it's just a mess here in my backyard. I mean, I'll probably go to the beach, and that the beach for me is like a portal 5, 6. So I mean, depending on which side of the sky I'm looking at. If I look west, it's a mess. If I look east and south over the Atlantic Ocean, then I'm good. But I mean, it's just a mess. But yeah, so a lot of really cool discoveries. I mean, James Webb went up also as well this year, and gave us some
were amazing.
really interesting shots of gravitational lensing and pretty cool
And
stuff.
Now Euclid's
And
up.
six of those cameras are the Teledyne IR cameras.
They are.
And yep.
So just so
I'm
you know,
gonna
Nico,
send you-
he said that because he now works for Teledyne. So that's why he said
but,
that.
but Dan, I'm going to send you a link to a video with the gentleman that actually got involved in that, and you should see these. I'll send you that. I'll send you the link so you can watch the video. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
It's pretty impressive. If you like, I'll ask Jim if he can go ahead and post it on Astro World, because it really is an incredible video of him talking about the James Webb Telescope.
Yeah, absolutely. Be lucky to have it. That'd be pretty cool. So yeah.
But this brings up another topic. What are we looking for this year in 2024 in terms of, well, we got the total eclipse, we got the comet that is making headlines. That's the Horn Comet. That's supposed to be the biggest comet that we've been able to see in our lifetime. I mean, we'll keep that as maybe. Would be interesting. Yeah.
And
I mean, there's going to be a lot of celestial targets to be imaging this year.
When's the Horn Comet supposed to be coming through?
I'm sorry, what's that?
When's that comet coming through?
I think it's supposed to be coming through in October, November of this year. It's supposed to be the biggest comet of all time. I mean, in terms of dimensions and size. And right now they're kind of, yeah, in the northern hemisphere. It's supposed to be coming in October. But they say that they're anticipating that it could really be quite the show, the spectacle, if it does materialize the way it's supposed to.
That's kind of cool. And then there's always the speculation on Betelgeuse.
What, that it's going to blow up again?
That will finally go supernova, but probably never will.
Not in my lifetime.
But what about our once the total eclipse of our lifetime? Right, this is it. This is the last one in our life.
Well, yeah. So let's talk about that. That's coming up. Was that April 8th? I think, if I remember right. And
that's right.
It's gonna be. I mean, I remember the last one that I went to in 2017. But before that, I don't remember a full total solar eclipse in my lifetime. Nico, where were you? Where were you in 2017 for the last one?
2017, I was driving around a lot before it, because my first couple plans fell through with the weather. So because my primary plan was to be in St. Joseph, Missouri. There was going to be a big eclipse party there, but it looked like I was going to get rained out. So I ended up in Nashville, and it was pretty good. It was cloudy, leading right up to first contact, and then the clouds dispersed, and I still got most of the total eclipse without clouds, and so that made it very dramatic. And I actually really liked that, because the first picture I got with the diamond ring, there's sort of clouds all around it. It's a very dramatic kind of picture.
That's awesome. It's great when those things happen, though.
Yeah, it was really fun. It definitely got me pumped. I could totally see becoming an eclipse chaser or whatever, and go to different ones. But I'll be going down to Texas for this one. I considered Mexico even, but I think Texas is as far as I want to drive. I'm going to drive so that I can bring lots of kits, lots of telescopes and things. So
that's good. That's going to be.
Where's everyone else going to be?
I don't know, Sean. Where am I going to be? I don't know. We haven't been playing.
We're going to be in some bar.
I thought you were going to Eric's.
I don't know. It depends what's happening. If it's going to be, it's an open plan right now.
It's very
much. I mean, I could be anywhere from Ontario to Texas, so I don't know where I'm going to end up. but I tell this story all the time because it totally drives me nuts. And I love you, baby, but I'm going to tell the story again anyway. So we're at the total eclipse on 2017. We're in Greensville, I think, South Carolina, right? Beautiful, beautiful weather. You couldn't ask for a better day at all. And I'm there, and I'm seeing all these telescopes out. We were at it was a solar party kind of thing. It was a big thing in a big field, and I see this big platform here. No one's in it. It's like this big circle with like a nice mosaic of the universe on there. And I was dumb. I never did a solar kind of eclipse picture. I never did a solar eclipse picture. And I brought my 127, which is 952 millimeters. I took the 120. No, it was the one before yours.
Who's 127?
It was the one before yours. It was the essential metal one. That's what it was. But I put it right in the middle of this thing. I said, "Can I use this?" No one's using it. I said, "Fine." So I ended up being interviewed by BBC, South Carolina TV, all the thousands of telescopes all around. But so the total eclipse is coming, right? It's coming. It's getting darker. It's getting darker. It's getting darker. And I'm like, babe, whatever you do, once, don't point take this video camera. I got this little dinky video camera. This is the actual video camera right here. And I said, babe, just when it gets totally dark and you hear the oohs and the ahs, point up. It's okay. You can only do it if it's total. You can only do it. Just don't do it any other time. So I said, solar eclipse goes. I'm happy with my photos, even though I'm too close because I brought too much focal length to do this because I'm a moron. But I'd say, okay, babe, let me see it. So I open up the thing and I say, oh, cool. I'm seeing tops of trees and it's getting darker and it's getting darker. And then I hear the people go, oh, wow, oh, this is awesome. This is great. And I'm still seeing trees and tops of houses and stuff like this. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden it starts getting brighter. I'm like, where is it? Where's it? Why do I have only trees? What is going on here? I was afraid it was going to burn out the camera, so I didn't point it up. I wanted to take this thing and throw it into the field. I was like, but I got some pictures with the telescope.
It's a big misconception. When I've done some eclipse videos now, and there's so many comments on those from people saying you can't take your eclipse glasses off and even though I very clearly explained you have to be in the path of totality,
Right.
you can do it during the totality, you still get tons of people saying, never take your eclipse glasses off. You'll burn your eyes out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's still hard for people to accept that they can actually look at the eclipse sun.
No, and you know what? Maybe we could all try on. The one thing that freaked me out about the eclipse was the temperature drop. Number one, I mean, it got cold. It went from like about 70 or 80 degrees in April in South Carolina to about 50. And it dropped about 30 degrees. It was out of control. And then the second thing that freaked me out, and tell me if you guys experienced this as well, the birds stopped. They stopped chirping.
Because they think it's night.
It was so quiet. You couldn't. All you heard was the people mumbling and talking and looking and pointing. All the birds stopped. And then once the sun started coming out again, all of a sudden the birds started chirping again. It was the weirdest thing.
Can I make a suggestion? What we need to do in the next month or two, Dan, is we need to do a show talking about what would be the settings to be able to take images at totality. So all of our audience members can get an idea about what to do. So maybe Nico, please chime in. What would you recommend would be, say, the settings to do? Because I think people are kind of wanting to do this, but they just don't know what would be my settings for my camera, my telescope. I think this would be a really good topic.
What's the ideal focal length?
Yeah, so
exactly.
The ideal focal length is going to be different if you have tracking or don't have tracking, right? So if you're just bringing a camera on a tripod, I wouldn't, I would go wider, even a 135 or 200 millimeter or something like that, because then what you can do is you can point it, you get the sun pointed with the filter on a few minutes ahead, and then the sun will still be in your field of view throughout the totality without tracking. Because you don't really want to be fiddling around with that during totality. You want to just be enjoying the event. So without tracking, I wouldn't go too zoomed in. I would stick to a lens, 135 millimeters. Like that. If you have a tracker mount or a star tracker, and you've done a basic daytime polar alignment with it, I think the ideal would be somewhere between 300 to 600 millimeter focal length. That way you don't have to worry too much about perfect polar alignment, but you can also be sure that you're going to get the whole corona, which is really the most impressive kind of shot that everyone wants to get.
Yeah, unfortunately, at 9:52, I got corona, 0.
Yeah.
The only corona I had was at the bar. That's it.
Right.
but yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, that's one of the things you really want to get. I mean, I remember the corona cut. I didn't get any, but I've seen pictures of it. That it was like an entire V surrounding the sun of the corona. It was just an amazing picture of the total solar. It's great.
And what kind of settings, like Pete was saying, what kind of settings would you run? I mean,
so yeah, there's different settings for different things you might want to capture. There's a good website called MrEclipse.com, I think, that Fred Espinac runs, and he has a chart for different ISOs and apertures and all that kind of stuff, and different features. So I would look at that. If I remember right, for like a corona shot, it's something like 1/20th of a second exposure. So I mean, it's not like a super long exposure or anything. The corona is pretty bright. 1/20th of exposure is something like f6, ISO 100. So that's from my memory. But then there's a bunch of different settings if you want to capture different parts of it. So it gets a little complicated if you really want to capture all the different parts. If you want to do that, what I'd recommend is you attach a laptop to your camera, and then it can automate the whole sequence. There's different programs so that it can know exactly down to the second when the eclipse starts, and then it can trigger different exposure settings at different parts. On PC, there's something called Eclipse Orchestrator and on Mac, there's a new one. I'm blanking on the name, but if you just type in Mac Eclipse, automation, it'll come up. There was an old one for Mac that's no longer working, but then there's a new one too. So whatever kind of laptop you have, you can find some software to do this.
And as you said, this is the last total eclipse of our lifetime. So this is something that's really just truly one of a lifetime event that we really have to take advantage of. So
In North
definitely
America,
plan
yeah.
to do,
Unless you want to travel somewhere weird, yeah.
Yeah, you get on a boat to like Thailand and see something, but in the middle of the Indian Ocean somewhere, but there are eclipse chasers that do that. People that like watching solar eclipse in a plane. There are people that do a whole bunch of stuff that just chase eclipses all over the world, whether that's on boat, on plane, or whatever. It's amazing. I know a guy in my club that has seen visually himself 17 solar eclipses.
Oh, wow. So every year he's going.
Sometimes twice a year. I mean, it depends on what, that's what he does. He's an eclipse chaser, and he doesn't take pictures. He doesn't do anything, but he gets something from the area that he's been to or the country that he's been. That's because they're all selling stuff about the eclipse. So it'll
Not
say,
for nothing, that's a lot safer than chasing tornadoes.
yeah, well, we could always we could have Jason back on the show, who is also a minor storm chaser, and
God.
yeah, he does that. But no,
I would never.
Another
the question
thing
is,
I'd say,
is he a totality chaser or is he an annular chaser or both?
both.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nico. Sorry.
I was just going to say, going to Pete's point about this is the last, total solar eclipse in our lifetime in North America. A lot of people are also sort of wondering, well, why is this one so important? Aren't there eclipses all the time, like lunar eclipses and different things? The total solar eclipse is just really impressive compared to any other kinds of eclipses you can witness. So if you're like, let's say within a few hours drive of totality, the path of totality, take the day off, get to the path of totality. Don't just like settle for the partial eclipse, right?
Yeah.
You definitely want to be inside that path of totality for this, because that's the really impressive thing to see.
It really
I'm just waiting for the government to make this a national holiday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that'll be followed by the Super Bowl too. So, but it really is impressive. I mean, for those of you that haven't seen it, I'll echo exactly what Nico said. Go check it out because it's just awesome. It really is amazing, and it's something, at least in the United States, unless if you're 12. I think you may see another one in, what is it, 2040 something or 2030 something later.
I think it's the 2040s, yeah.
2040s, right? Yeah, so 2040s. So I mean, we're talking about another 20 years. I might see it. I may not remember seeing it, but I might see it. You're gonna have to roll me out with my oxygen tanks in my wheelchair, but I mean, it's just it's
Come
possible.
on, you're younger than I am. You'll make it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. So what else has been going on? Well, let's talk a little bit about Nebula photos and what you've been up to with the. It's really blown up quite a bit over the past couple of years, and let's talk about what you got going on with Nebula photos. How about that?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, I went full time this year and didn't know how that would go, but it's been going really well. Thanks to the Patreon support and just sort of building that up and keeping that going. And I sort of knew that I wanted to do this observatory, but I didn't know that it would take up so much of my time over the past few months. So I'm also really, happy that I could do that, have the time to build the observatory while I was still young enough and could do it on my own. There's something about, I don't know why, but I just really wanted to just sort of build the whole thing myself and figure that out. So that's been sort of a challenge, but a lot of fun to figure that part out. While I've been doing that, I haven't done as many images this year, but I did finish one that I started at the Black Forest Star Party where I saw you, Dan.
Yep.
So I could show that probably. Let's see here. I can share my screen. Let's see.
So people are saying 2044 is the next one. So 44 is the next one. That will make me a whopping 73, I think, if I remember right. So
You'll make it.
Come on, man. You didn't graduate in mathematics, did you?
2044? Oh, 20 make me 73. What are you talking about? I'm 50. I'm
I thought they
53.
said 20
How old do you think I am?
2144.
Jeez.
They said 2144. Oh, okay. They made a mistake. It's 2044.
No, they made a mistake. So it's Tom Peters' fat finger problem. That's what you got going on.
Yeah, 2044 sounds right.
Tom makes
So-
great images, but he can't type. So
this image I started at the Black Forest Star Party and then finished up here at home. But this is part of a larger plan I have to image the entire constellation of Cepheus in LRGB and SHO. Because I just think there's a lot of really cool stuff that I've never seen combined, right? So it's like a lot of times you'll see these dust clouds in Cepheus, but then you don't see all of the emission nebulae too. So I think it would be really, it's an ambitious project, but I'm going to try to do a sort of a 20 panel mosaic with all the different filters and combine them all with this kind of palette where it's sort of naturalistic, where you can see the emission nebulae in their natural colors, the O3 and the HA, but also the dust that really comes out when you shoot deep luminance. So this is the CTA1 supernova remnant. Yeah, go ahead.
Nico, look in the very top. There's an emission H2 nebula region. What's exciting that particular red? You notice up at the very top, there's like a little arc of the
like
red.
10 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. So what star is exciting that? Is that the star to the right? That's kind of like, it looks like it's in that molecular cloud. Is that exciting, that particular region?
I don't think so. I think that's, I think if we kept going up, you would see that that's part of a bigger H2 complex. So it's like a tendril from a bigger thing up there, if I remember correctly. But if you look at, if you look at this image and there's some of that sort of background H2 sort of everywhere, even over on the right. And if you look at what is that survey, the MDW survey that the Sky and Telescope guys are doing?
Yep.
There's hydrogen alpha all over this region. So I'm not sure if they know exactly which stars are exciting which parts exactly. It's an interesting question, but I'm pretty sure that tendril at the top is part of something bigger right above. There's also little things that pop out with this that I wanted to track down. Some of them I haven't tracked them all down, but if you look sort of in the center right above where it says September, right above the T, there's a little planetary nebula right there.
Yes.
O3 bubble. And there's lots of those actually all over this image. I haven't looked them all up yet, but it's fun to do this kind of work, to go deep on a field wide like this. This is at 180 millimeter focal length, but that's enough that you can start seeing some details and finding things.
Wow, 180 millimeters. So that's a real wide field of view here.
Yes, really wide. So, and that's another thing I sort of like in imaging is trying to do something where you've never sort of seen a particular field of view on an object before. Because I've never seen CTA1, this supernova remnant in the middle, with this wide a field of view. This is full frame at 180. So it's always interesting to try to do something different. So this is the one image I sort of liked that I made this year.
So, Kevin Rasso asked, how much time did you put into this one?
I think this one was 45 hours.
Okay.
Something like that. If I remember right, it was the filter that I put the most time into was the luminance. I think I put like 18 hours into the luminance, and then the rest of it was sort of equally split to get to 45.
Okay. So did you do like about 10 on the what was it? Well, what you did RGB2 as well?
Yeah, RGB2 as well.
Yeah.
So I can't remember exactly, but it's something like 6 or 7 on all the others, I think, and 18 on the luminance, something like that.
Nice. That's
and
great
it was all
photo.
shot from dark skies. Both my home sky and Black Forest Star Party, I think, are Bortle 3 skies.
It's like a 3 in Cherry Springs now.
Yeah.
Well, while I have
Cool.
my images up here, I guess I can go to the next one here.
Sure.
Let's see here.
Yep.
So this is just some stuff that I'm working on now. We were talking about the smart telescopes earlier. My next video, I'm going to look at the Sea Star, the Dwarf, and then this last one isn't a smart telescope, but the reason I'm including it is because I got interested in this idea of, if you only had $500 to start astrophotography, could you put something together that, you know, is more traditional, a star tracker and DSLR and lens and all of that? So I figured out how to put together a kit that's more traditional with the star tracker and DSLR and lens. That's $500 to compete against the Dwarf and the Sea Star. To get to that price point, though, you do have to get creative, and so I found this guy over in Europe is doing these 3D printed tracking mounts, and so that's how I got to that low price point, is 3D printing. But it actually works really well. His design's pretty ingenious. I don't know if you can see that in the picture, but it actually uses belts, so it's a pretty cool device. Another thing I'm working on is the ASCAR has this new very large refractor out, the 185 Apo, and it's sort of an interesting telescope because it's $5,000. So I'm sure for a lot of people it's like, oh, $5,000, that's an incredibly expensive telescope. But for a 185 triplet refractor, that's actually pretty affordable. I don't think there's any others on the market that are sort of hitting a price point like that. So
not
that one should be interesting. Yeah, it's definitely a big refractor. I am using it on the EQ6R, which some people have told me I shouldn't be doing, but I think because I have that concrete pier now that goes well, into the ground, and it's a very heavy concrete pier, it is working pretty well for me. I'm not sure if I would really want to put this telescope on a tripod, though. I mean, even just because you'd be running into the tripod legs in many positions with it, right? Because it's really, really long. When it's fully expanded like this, it's something like 6 feet long. So,
wow, that's a beast.
And then this is my a video. It should come out later this month, I think. So this is right before when I finished the roof, right before the snow came in, and got to take this thumbnail of the finished observatory.
That's
so
awesome.
I'll try to make that video a little dramatic, racing against the storm kind of thing. So.
That's great.
All right, I'll stop sharing here. Whoops. Oh, sorry. I'm going to stop. There we go.
You're good. Yeah. That's going to be an amazing addition to your repertoire. That whole roll-off roof is going to be amazing for you.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And I mean, I'm taking my time with it, so it's not automated yet. I'm probably gonna, keep working on it this summer. Try to get the motor in there and do all the automation stuff. But I have to save up a
You
bit.
got
I've blown my budget on just getting the basics built here.
Do you have your cable hooks up?
Yeah, I don't have any electrical in there yet. So
No, I
what
mean
I'm doing right
your
now
hooks
is.
for all your cables so you can.
Oh
organize
yeah,
your
yeah,
cables.
I need to put those into the observatory. Right now, all my hooks are in the garage. So yeah, that's a good idea. I'll put those in the observatory.
Somebody was asking in the chat about maybe they saw it on a proper video. I don't know if it was on it or not, but what about icing on the rails? Did you figure out?
Oh yeah, that's actually something I've been talking about with people about what they do. Because the rail that is south facing, of course, as soon as you get sun, the snow melts, and then I have drain holes in the rail, so it all drains out. But the rail that isn't south facing, it's in the shadow. If the snow melts and then turns to ice in there, it could be an issue, because then of course it can't roll off. So
Right.
I could just tarp the extension, but then other people are telling me that they make these heating coils for roofs, so you could put that right under the rail and just sort of keep it warm, and that might help too. So I'm looking into that. Does anyone who know of any sort of solutions, maybe in the chat?
Yeah, there are some people. Dave Barnett, who has built many an observatory, who lives out here on Long Island, said heater wire works really good.
Yeah.
Ernie Jacobs, who lives in Buffalo, so he says that they use plastic gutters to kind of take care of that. But the heat, an engine block heater. Okay, I don't know how that. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know. But I'll go with Dave Barnett. It does. The heater wire does just like you were talking about, go right underneath the rail to keep it warm enough that it doesn't get solid.
Yeah, a lot of people do that on the edges of their roofs so that they don't get that ice buildup on their easements and stuff like that.
Exactly. And just don't put enough energy in there, you burn your house down. But but Dave Barnett said use some magma. Also, you could do that.
Magma.
But yeah, no, it looks like that the wires that seems to be the one to go with probably in your, because you're gonna have some crazy winters up there.
Yes,
so.
Definitely.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah.
But Tom Peter wanted to know which scopes are you going to be putting in your observatory, and Dave wanted to know if you had to do any special permit, get any special permits.
So I might I might buy this 185 from ASCAR after they review it, because I feel like that scope sort of makes sense in the observatory. You can shoot it at 1295 millimeter focal length at f7 or 1000 millimeter at f5.6 with the reducer.
Wow.
That sort of seems like a nice couple of focal lengths, focal ratios that I think would be good for whenever I want sort of zoomed in stuff. So I might keep that. And then the other pier, I'm thinking of doing more sort of the survey work. So that image that I showed at 180 millimeter focal length, I'm going to probably put 2 or 3 of those on one mount, and so that it can collect lots of data and do that kind of big
cool.
survey.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. That'd be pretty wild.
That
actually.
is cool.
Yeah, put a couple of those together, you can get a whole bunch of data real quick. Yeah.
Yep. That's sort of what I would love to do. I've been talking to people about different kinds of holders for that kind of stuff. 3D printing. I mean, probably the easiest is just to do it side by side, but then you look at stuff like the dragonfly array or things like that, and you get ideas of like, well, I could do even more, 3 or 4 of them at a time. That'd be cool. But especially with wide field like that, like I'm using that little 180 millimeter thing. It's like a $300 telescope. So it's like, okay, I can buy a few of those. It's not super expensive.
Was that is that the FMA of the ASCAR?
The FMA.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
And what cameras do you typically use on those?
Lately I've been using the 6200s, the
full frame.
ZWO
So they work
frame.
with a full frame. Wow.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I mean, the corners are not perfect, but good enough that if you crop in a little bit, you can still do mosaic work with them.
Well, if you put 4 of them together, you're not going to have to worry about it. So you'll be fine.
True. Yeah, true.
Yeah, I believe you said your observatory was 10 by 14, right?
Yeah, and the question about permits. I didn't do a permit. New Hampshire is pretty lax about that kind of stuff, but also it's within 10 by 14 is still considered a shed, so you don't have to get any kind of special permit for it.
I would love that. Yeah, Long Island for anything I put in my backyard. I got right around the corner. I got the town supervisor living right there. So
the town Karen.
I put a 4x8 shed in there, and I had to get a permit for it, and it had to be in the back left-hand corner of the. It couldn't be anywhere else. It had to go over there, and I don't know. That's why if I ever get out of New York again, I'm never coming back, ever. I lived in Savannah, Georgia.
You'll never lose that accent, though.
I love accent is my thing. I'm fine. I'm good with that. Everyone thinks I'm Italian from Brooklyn, and I'm Irish German, and I'm from Queens. So I mean, whatever the case may be. But I lived in Savannah. I lived outside of Savannah in a little town. Well, it's not that little anymore. Called Uller, Georgia, and it was about an hour away from the Daytona 500, a little north of there. When I went out, it's so funny. I was about a 2-hour drive from Deer Lick, which is a nice astronomy village out in Savannah. I was about 3 hours away, or 2.5 hours away from the Peach State Stargaze. But another nice star party down in Georgia. But let me tell you something. When I pulled, everybody would laugh. I had an 18-inch obsession, and I took a picture of it, and I would wheel this thing out because I was on the bottom floor with a garage and a duplex, so it's kind of cool. So I had it all together. I pulled it on and I was showing people. I forget which. I'm gonna screw it up. I know. I think it was Hayasaki or something. But it was a big comet back in 2007 or 8. And I'm showing everybody this comet, and I took a picture. I said, "Let me just see if I could do it." I had the ServoCAD, so I was tracking a little bit. And I said, "Let me just take a picture of the comet." And I have it somewhere. I'm never going to find it right now because we're on the live show. We didn't plan for it, but I got a really nice picture of this comet from the backyard in Georgia. And that backyard, even with the lights around me, was still a Bortle 5. Because it was in the middle of nowhere, Bortle 5, bordering Bortle 4, and it was pretty amazing. Just being there from the sky it was just completely different from when you're coming from daytime at night to actual night at night. It's really, 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 it's a great experience, especially just like what you're going through now. Going from going to Bortle 3 skies. I mean, it's great. I love it. I love clear night skies. I think it's great. I could just sit out all night, just chill.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally there with you, and it's interesting building the observatory. It gave me sort of like a different view of the night sky. There's something weird about like even just being a few feet up, because I built it with like 2 feet underneath, and then there's the floor is like another 1.5 feet. So you're about like 4 feet off the ground, and then once you put the walls up, it feels like you're just like in this little like floating box, just with the sky above you. It just sort of gives you this different feeling, this different view. I didn't expect that, just to feel like it sort of transformed my sort of view of the sky in the backyard, just being in there. That's part of why I wanted the roll off though, and instead of a dome, is because I like just sort of that feeling of like the open sky when you have the roof rolled off. Well, with the dome, you just have the one little slit open.
Yep. That's why I'm thinking about getting, if and when I ever get out of this dreadful area that I'm living in. I was talking to Wayne Parker over at Skyshed about his roll-offs. So that's probably where I'm. Even though he wants me to buy that Skyshed Pod S, I don't think that fits me. I think the roll-off fits better, and I know my wife will like it a lot better if it looks like a shed and not a dome. So I think that's probably where I'm gonna go as well, because it really is. I think it's a nicer experience when you're inside of it than inside of a dome, to be honest with you.
Well, the nice thing about the sheds too is you can put multiple piers. You're not stuck with just the one in the middle.
Yeah, that's true as well. Absolutely. So, what images are you doing now, Nico? What are you working on as far as astrophotography? Any projects in the works? Or?
Not really. Just trying to get those sneak peeks, those videos done. For the smart telescope 3D printed tracker one, I just went with popular targets, Pleiades and Orion, because I feel like with beginner stuff, you want to show people what they're probably going to shoot first, and because it gives them a better idea of like, okay, what are these different things capable of with the targets you're going to go after first. And then with the ASCAR 185, I did elephant trunk, just with a bunch of different focal lengths and cameras, just because it was I don't know, it was just well positioned, and I thought this is going to be a cool one for a close up view. I've always liked all that like cool little dark nebula stuff in the elephant trunk when you're really close in on it.
Yeah,
that's going to get you real close.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be amazing. That's gonna be great. I can't believe that big of a refractor. I can't imagine a 185. I thought my 130 was big. What was it? Was that the William Optics? What did he have, a 180 or something like that? With that picture of him, with the William, he's sitting there with the telescope. It's almost toppling him over. I mean, these things are huge. I mean, a friend of mine has a Tech 160. That's probably actually, that's not the biggest one I've seen. The biggest one I've seen is over at Dave Barnett, who's in the chat. He's got a D&G 8-inch refractor, I think it is, in a dome out on Long Island. Yeah, it's crazy. I believe it is. Correct me if I'm wrong in there. Thank you, Dave. 156 for the William Optics. Tell me what size. Tell me what size your tube is, Dave, because the thing was a monster. 8-inch f12. There you go. 8-inch f12, and let me tell you, the views out of that thing are sick. They are really amazing. If you're into visual astrophotography and you look through these really large premium scopes, it's unbelievable. It's a great experience if you ever get a chance.
Yeah, I haven't put an eyepiece on it yet, but I want to. They configured it so that you can move the whole focuser in enough that you could put a bino viewer on it. So I thought that was interesting too. I guess they were really thinking that like, oh well, this is going to be a good scope for either visual or astrophotography.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have that, and that's another thing that telescope makers and camera makers is that they're becoming more innovative as far as what they're adding on to make it what Pete likes to talk about is benefits and features, right, Pete? So they keep on adding these benefits and features. I mean, one of the newest things that I thought was a simple thing, but it was great, was the Player One cameras having that tilt plate that faces behind so you can get to it without taking the camera off. It's a real simple thing, but nobody did it before. You always had to kind of tilt plate and you had to mess with it and put it back on and do all this. Now you can sit there and just tweak it while you're imaging, which is pretty cool. I thought that was a really cool, innovative thing as well.
Yeah, it's just interesting is that these camera manufacturers now is that there's always tilt issues. And it's kind of up to us now to be able to get resolution to those. So that's why you've come up with Band-Aid fixes. Case in point, you got the Octopi, you got the different types of tilt adapters to be able to compensate for that. And then you got software to be able to say, okay, now let me see, once I've done all my adjustments, what does it look like? It's just unfortunate that that's just the way it is, because it's how these prosumer cameras are built and fabricated. You know, as I said, when you're spending that kind of money for a camera, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, $9,000, I really think that they really need to do something to kind of make these the way that they mount to the scopes a lot better than what they currently are. Typically, you'll have a dovetail plate with 3 set screws holding maybe a camera that weighs and a filter wheel that weighs what, 8 pounds? That's a lot of weight being held by 3 grub screws, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be a better means that they can do this, but it's really kind of up to them to really make a better design. And that's why I think that maybe this is something that I keep thinking maybe this might be something that they can do here in the next couple of years to make it easier for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Pete, I got, they are definitely, I mean, in all fairness, a lot of the resolution of the cameras, the sensitivity of the chips, and all that kind of stuff has been getting better and better. I mean, as you know, we're sitting there looking at now, we're looking at a 50 millimeter all-in-one telescope, right? That's taking pictures in 30 minutes. I mean, I was playing with it the other day, and I don't know if I can find it real quick on there, but I took a picture of the M42 just to see what the Sea Star could do in 30 minutes, and I was like, 30 minutes. I mean, it was really quite interesting, and I think I showed it.
You showed it to me. Yeah, it's actually really well. It's really good.
I mean, for what it is. I mean, you gotta take it with a grain of salt as well. You know what I'm saying? So, let's see. I got it right. Let's see. Do I have it? I'm probably not going to find it now. Probably.
But for something that's basically entry level, I mean,
here it is.
It's
Yeah.
it's better than my
For
first.
somebody that's never done this before, that image is going to look fantastic.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's acceptable. Believe me, that's acceptable for an entry level.
There you go. Here it is, real quick. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, but 31 minutes, and again, you can see the rotation here. There's a little rotation. You see the black here, and it's a little bit brighter in here, and then black here. You can see the rotation, but you know what? The whole thing, 30 minutes. This was literally. I wanted to see how bad I could screw this up. I put it on a coffee table on a bumpy backyard that wasn't level, nothing, and I just let it go and see what it could do. And that's what it came out with. I mean, and for 30 minutes in a $500 item, I think that's kind of pretty darn good for what it is.
I mean, for $500 to get into astrophotography, how can you beat that?
I mean, I had a friend of mine. Go ahead, Nico. Go ahead.
Just you saying about putting it on sort of a uneven surface, bumpy table or something reminded me that it's one of the neatest things. I don't know if they all do this or if it's just the C Star, but that it will, as it's doing that live stacking, whenever it has an issue, if there's a tracking issue or something, it just automatically rejects the bad frames and doesn't put them into the live stack. And I
Pretty
just
sure
thought
that happens
how,
with the C
how does
Star
it
as well.
know how to do that? And that's just a really cool part of the whole smart telescope thing.
Yeah.
That it knows how to reject the bad frames as it's live stacking.
It's amazing, and and this is like we were talking about. This is only the first generation of these smart scopes that have come out, and they're literally within the past 6 months. That's the new thing, right? Just like in the beginning of the year, what was the new thing? It was harmonic mounts, right? So harmonic mounts at the beginning of the year, we got smart scopes at the end of the year. This year is going to be crazy because we already started off with the first, probably one of the first premier all-in-one scopes, which is the Celestron Rasa 6, that is now out. And a lot of people have going on cloudy nights about the price point and everything, but everybody's got to remember, it's a Rasa 6 with a camera and tracking and software and everything that goes into it to get a pretty darn good picture at f2.2. And if you want, I could actually show you. I can share this now that it's out. Let's see. Where's my origin?
Oh, the new Celestron.
This is the new Celestron, right? So I do have some pictures taken with the origin, and I'll just open them all because they're all pretty darn cool.
I'm curious when the next upgrade to bit depth is going to be, where it's 16
Where
bit
it's 32 now or whatever.
Well, when's 20 bit come out?
Yeah, probably be pretty soon. 16's been out a while, right? So
it has been, yeah.
So I'm just waiting for my Photoshop to open up because I'm opening up a couple of pictures, and just so you can see, they're opening up all the time, and it gives you the stats on the picture as well. So it's kind of pretty cool. Come on, last one. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna put this over here, and just so you can see some of the. There we go. Let me go back here, and then here we go. So here is the Crab Nebula. This is 240 15-second photos from California.
With the C Star, right?
No, this is the new origin from Celestron.
Oh, from Celestron, okay. The Rasa.
Yep. Now look at that. That's the Crab Nebula at 3,600 seconds. So, pretty amazing.
I think I saw an image of that with the C Star, and it was pretty amazing.
It's definitely possible. I'm sure someone's done it already. There's a bubble nebula for you. Let's see, Whirlpool Galaxy. That's 600 seconds, 10 minutes of data. Pretty darn good. Helix.
Wow.
Personally, and I'm sorry if you're watching, Lance, I think you crushed the blacks on a lot of these pictures, but that's just me being mean. Eastern Vale. There you go. So there's a couple of pictures for you, but that's what you could expect from the origin. So not bad for 10 minutes worth of data. For the most part, pretty darn good. But it's
I wonder
also
if they're going to sell that Rasa 6-inch on its own, or if it'll only be with the origin.
Yeah,
I wonder if that
that's been a hot question. All I want is the OTA. That's all I want.
Right.
And
so right now the smallest Rasa is the 8.
Correct.
Mhm.
Well, now you
Yeah.
have the
Okay.
6 in the origin with the whole deal, but I mean, I don't know if they. I mean, I can see them not doing it eventually, but I think at least for the next year, that to me, for them not to keep it all in one package for at least a year is kind of like defeating the purpose of putting it out together to begin with. You know what I mean? So they want to try to build it as a package, as a premier kind of astrophotography scope. That's an all-in-one like the C Star or something like that, but at f22 at 300, I think it was 335 millimeters in focal length, and it's super fast. So you're getting these pictures in 10 minutes. You would get that Orion Nebula in the Rasa in about 3 minutes that I spent 30 minutes on the Sea Star. So, I mean,
Well,
it's
you've
all
seen
about
a
how
lot
much
of
time you want to
people.
do.
You've seen a lot of people put the hyperstars on the old C6s. Like Quib
Oh, yeah.
did that.
Oh,
He
yeah.
put a hyperstar in his C6 and he loves that thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I got a
So-
couple of friends on the Discord that's making me look high and low for a C6
An
Hyperstar.
old
And
C6, yeah.
Because the funny thing with the Hyperstar, for at least only for the 6-inch model, right? The Hyperstar for the 6-inch model is a custom make. So if you buy it, you can't return it. You can't do it. It's yours. That's it. You can't do anything. The 8, the 9 1/4, the 11, and the 14, you could do whatever you want. But the 6 is a custom make. So when you buy it, it just stays with that scope. That's it. That's nothing else.
Yeah.
There's nothing else you can do with it. But I've had 2 or 3 people that I know that have had them and love it. That's how they started with the Hyperstar, is with the 6. All right, yeah. So that's a good point on the wires, for the origin. And I said something on the Discord channel. Somebody pointed it out on the Discord channel, and there is actually a wire that goes across the lens into the front of the camera. There's a USB port on the back of the camera because the camera's on the front, right? So the camera's on the front. There's a USB port there, and it goes around it, past the lens into a channel on the outside of the tube, and it goes out the back into the back of the scope. But it's kind of weird that there's that little. I'm wondering how or if that's going to affect. I didn't see any effect of that wire in any of the pictures that I've seen, but I don't know if that's a result of processing or if that's a result of just not being an issue. But we'll have to see when more pictures come out and more tests come out. We'll definitely see.
Does it have a dew heater built into it?
It does. It does. It has a
does?
dew heater ring. Yep.
It looks like it has a dew shield on it too.
Yep, and they really kind of use that as a dew shield, and also so you don't have to take the camera off, so it extends it past the camera, so you can put the cover right on it. So
is it a heated dew shield or just a dew shield?
no, it's just the dew shield itself is not heated. It has the Celestron dew heater ring.
Okay.
On the corrector plate, yeah.
Yep. So
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a question for Nico. It's not
Yeah.
on topic with what we're talking about, but I was just curious if maybe you'd elaborate a bit for the audience what initially sparked your interest in astronomy and astrophotography, and how has, if it's a passion, which I think it is, how has it evolved over the years?
Sure. Yeah. So it started for me pretty late. I was in Iceland on a vacation and went there to sort of see the Northern Lights. I'd seen them once before in Alaska, but I was now had a better, photography gear and was sort of like, I want to capture the Northern Lights. And this was in 2014. And when I got there and was able to see them, and there was a whole group of photographers all around this glacier lagoon sort of like a star party of aurora chasers, I guess. I just really loved that whole process. I mean, I'd never really done much nighttime photography before. I don't even know if I knew the word astrophotography, but I started capturing the aurora. And at the time, I was really into the time-lapse photography. So, and I didn't, know, of course, that time-lapse photography and astrophotography sort of share this same kind of thing, because you're taking many pictures in a row of something. So it all sort of led one into another. But it wasn't really a huge interest in astronomy. It was more sort of from this photography angle that led me into this. But then when I got home and I saw the pictures of the aurora and I started brightening them up in Photoshop and just seeing all these colors and stars pop out of the picture, I was just so blown away by that I then got into the Milky Way, and then eventually decided, I live in a light polluted place. I want to do this all the time, but how? Because I was like, at that point, I was just, only doing it when I could get to a really dark location, that kind of thing. So then I started looking that up and found that people were doing deep sky from their backyard with, light pollution filters and that kind of thing. So I got a Astro track and got a clip-in light pollution filter for my DSLR. And that was just so much fun. I just immediately fell in love with the deep sky part of it, and especially emission nebulae. And so then, just fell into the rabbit hole, just kept going. And by 2016, it was my main, hobby. It was the one thing that I did the most. Every week I was out shooting, getting new gear, getting new telescopes. And then the reason I started the YouTube channel was because professionally I was teaching students about YouTube and about making videos for YouTube. So it just sort of dawned on me like, oh, well, I teach this every day. I should just put into practice what I'm teaching and make my own YouTube channel about the thing that I'm most passionate about right now, which is astrophotography. And then it all went from there.
Interesting.
That's cool.
It's a great story, man. That's really cool.
How is creating the content for YouTube influenced or changed your approach to astrophotography, or has it, do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that it's one thing that it's shown me is that because I've gotten into this thing of doing a lot of reviews, and it's like when you do those reviews, and I like to do comparison reviews, you realize that like there's very, very subtle differences between these different telescopes and filters and things. That's not really the difference maker that people think it is buying the newest and greatest telescope, because there's very small differences if you process them all the same. So I think that it has allowed me to sort of, even though I get all this new gear in to review it, it's allowed me to sort of break away from thinking I need to personally buy some new kind of telescope or gear, because I realized that's really not what matters. To make a good image, it's not really about this thing of just like, oh, I need this particular telescope and this particular filter, because they're all pretty similar when you compare them at a similar price point. So I think that's one thing, is just it's actually helped me get over sort of gas a little bit, because I when you review a bunch of stuff, you realize it's all sort of similar. There's not huge differences there. It's more the processing and what your intention is with the photo.
How do you find the balance? Like you're creating in your YouTube videos, you're creating you're talking about fairly complex topics in a lot of ways. So how do you balance the technical aspects of what you're talking about, astrophotography, say, with the need to create something that's engaging but understandable for your YouTube audience?
Yeah, I've probably gotten worse over that over the years. I feel like you're better at it when you're a beginner because then you can really, if you're still in that beginner mindset, it's much easier to make content for beginners. And then the longer you're in the hobby, the more your brain gets trained to just think in these sort of advanced ways that are unintelligible to beginners. So I think that it's harder and harder to do that. But that, I try to, just think back and just write a script and try to use language that isn't as technical. But it is a balance because sometimes I don't like how certain software don't use the common terms. Like I think it was Sequator or something, this stacking software. And it went out of its way to not use the term like dark frames and things. And I just sort of found that annoying because I was like, you're being different than everyone else, but that's just sort of confusing me because it's like, well, what are you talking about when you say black frame rather than dark frame or something like that? So I think that there's a limit. You have to sort of get people to use the terminology that they're going to be seeing everywhere else, but also try to explain terminology as you go. One thing that's hard is, it's like, if you explain everything that you're talking about in a video, the videos can get really, really long, right? Like, and so that's always been a challenge for me. At some point, my videos were getting up to 2.5, 3 hours long because I was just trying to explain everything. And it's not bad, but it limits probably the people that are going to want to watch something that long and really absorb all of that. So I don't know. Yeah, it's always a challenge.
Do you think there's a sweet spot for the videos and stuff, and in terms of conveying what you need to convey, what you're trying to convey, and keeping it a certain length? Do you think there's a sweet spot for that?
Yeah, I think an hour is my sweet spot. I mean, or under an hour. One thing I found was, I did a video about shoot Orion Nebula without a star tracker, and it was over 2 hours long. And then I did it with Andromeda, and I tried to get all that same information under an hour, and I was able to do it. So I found that, okay, if I can get all of that same information that it did take me 2 hours to say and put it into 1 hour, that's probably going to be a more valuable video because more people are going to want to watch it if it's under an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, Nico, have you come to the dark side to Nina yet, or are you still using SGP?
I'm still using SGP, and not even the newest SGP.
All right, I'm out of here.
SGP 3 point something, or I can't, an old one. I don't use SGP 4. So, and the part of the reason is just because I'm so used to it. I know where all the little buttons and features and functions are, that it's second nature to me because I've probably put hundreds and hundreds of hours into SGP. So so especially, when I'm doing testing all these different telescopes, it's like I can't use something that I don't know really well and that I can't, quickly put together a sequence, change things out if I need to, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I still use it. But I really do want to learn the other control software like Nina and maybe even Voyager, just so I can help people with them and just be, more knowledgeable about all that kind of stuff. So that is a goal of mine to learn those.
Yeah, I started using SGP when it came out. I met Jared and the guys over at SGP over at NEAF a couple of years in a row. And this is way pre-COVID. This is like, 7 years ago or something like that, when they first came out. And, somebody on the show gave me a kick in the ass a couple times and said, you got to try this new thing out. It's called Nina. And I tried it. And I was like, kind of like you, I was like, there's no way. I know SGP. I don't care if they're charging me $59 now. I don't care. It's a good program. It's great. And he's like, oh yeah, well, you keep on trying it, you'll be fine. So finally, I've tried it, and Sean That's all your fault, by the way. And
Yeah, I figured that was aimed at me.
and
Sean and Chad.
yeah, so it was mostly even though Chad makes good videos over Patriot Astro, Sean's the one that like constantly belittled me on getting into into Nina. And you know what? It's and now I'm used to Nina, and I could go back to SGP in a second. Again, not the 4.0 because I don't have that, but I have the 3.1 or 2, whatever it was. But the SGP is really good. I liked it. It's just that Nina was more user friendly, I guess, as far as the graphical interface is concerned, to me. But there was a learning curve. And to your point, Nico, when you know something, what we do as astronomers and astrophotographers a lot of the times is, like you said before, we want to get the new best thing. We want to do this. We want to get that. We want to get the best new toy. We want to get the next new piece of software and the next new this and next new that. And when we keep on doing that and pulling ourselves in so many different directions, you never really learn as much as you should about one thing before jumping to another. And I think that's a lot of times where people kind of not fail but get disconcerted about what the astrophotography is, and learn. If I don't care if you use anything from if you use Stellarium, if you use the Sky, if you use whatever, Voyager, Nina, SGP, whatever you're learning now, use it, learn it, and it'll be just fine. Like again, something like you said before, Nico, that the differences between all these things are very, very small usually, and it's gonna take your picture for you. And that's what you want to do. So you just got to make sure that whatever you use and you're comfortable using, continue to use it until you know it. And then if you've said there's nothing else I can learn, move on from there.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, I think in the terms of the basics, I think any of those capture programs do the same thing. But I guess it's just sort of like something I think about with it is like, okay, if Nina's autofocus routine is slightly better and so it's slightly faster, right? So I save a little bit on overhead, but am I really saving time if I'm so fast at controlling Sequence Generator Pro or something like that? So there's always just sort of trade-offs with those kinds of things. But another thing I was really interested in with Nina is that they seem to have all these third-party plugins that seem really neat. Like I really was thinking I like the idea of that one, is it called Light Bucket or something, that tracks all of your sessions and can do graphical
awesome
things of all your sessions. That looked really cool. So
there's a whole bunch of different plugins you got, and it's all open source, which it makes it open to pretty much anybody to get the plugin thrown in there, as long as it gets approved and tested through the guys at Nina. And it's they've gotten, I mean, I remember when like the first couple came out, and then now they're up to like 20 or 30 different plugins, and it's pretty amazing. So some are more usable than others, but I mean, it just makes it more customizable as we move forward into these different areas of astrophotography. It's going to be pretty interesting in the future.
Yeah, it seems like Nina, it's always upgrading. There's always something new every couple of weeks. There's always a new update or a new plugin or something like that. And it's just, and because it's open source, there's always that input. People are using it and they're upgrading the software and doing things to all these different plugins that makes it better and better and better and better on a weekly, monthly basis. And it's just constantly just gets better and better and better. It's very simple. And once you get, like I said, once you're used to it, like you are with Sequence Generator Pro, I mean, it's second nature. And I mean, I think out of all the plugins they have, I might use 5 of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, but there's so many available for literally like a professional observatory grade, telescope or something like that, where you would want something that has that much to do that you can do all that. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, it's just going to be, 2024 is going to be another, I think, groundbreaking year for astrophotography and for what we all love and do. And I'm just looking forward to see the next second and third generations of these smart scopes, the AI programming that Russ is doing, and it's only a matter of time until somebody else, Mr. X, comes out with something that's it already started with Graxpert, and other places are going to be coming out with other AI based software to help us make. And some people out there, I've seen it on cloudy nights, that people really turning down this AI stuff as cheating and stuff like that. When Pix Insight came out, people said that was cheating. When the Sky 6 came out 30 years ago, they said that was cheating. How could you control a telescope with a computer? It's cheating. You're supposed to find it yourself. So I mean, there are so many things. It's all about the evolution of what we do with new innovation. Also, don't forget, comes new challenges. So, you got to remember that, because with everything new, somebody's going to find some way to either make it better or break it. So you just got to remember that just because things change doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad thing and that it's cutting corners. I don't think so.
At least not in this hobby.
No. This hobby's hard enough. If it wasn't hard, everybody be doing it, right?
If it was easy, everybody be doing it.
Yeah, exactly. But Tom, there's nothing wrong with something that improves your experience. There's nothing wrong with it. Whether that be a new roll-off roof, whether that be a pier in your backyard, or taking a chainsaw and cutting down some telephone wires. It doesn't matter. but it's really it's going to be an interesting time. And I guess let's round off. Like, Nico, what do you think is going to be probably the next, maybe best thing that's going to come out there, or the next innovation that may come out? What do you think? I know it's a tough question, but or maybe like the next improvement you'd like to see.
Well, I mean, okay, so here's an interesting one. I get all your takes on it. One thing with the smart telescopes is that they're mostly wireless, right? Because it's like any wiring is inside the telescope, and then you're controlling it from your phone. So I wonder if the wireless kind of stuff is going to make its way over into the more pro gear, because cables going bad is an issue, and they get stiff in the cold, and there's all kinds of issues with cables. So I just wonder if wireless is going to get reliable enough that we're going to get more wireless gear in general.
I'm going to punt that to Pete, because I know where he's going to go.
Let's take a look at ASCOM Alpaca. What Bob Denny is trying to push. That's going to be the next thing for us in the prosumer market. In the professional market, it's going to be a much bigger sensor arrays. But for the prosumers, I really think that we're going to look at maybe software. And I think software is going to be the big hot ticket in terms of post-processing and ASCOM Alpaca. I think that you're going to see a lot more manufacturers now starting to go with ASCOM Alpaca.
Yep. I mean, and if you don't know, for those in the group, and not for nothing, everybody, for all you 43 people in the chat, we only got 5 thumbs up, so please hit the thumbs up on the video on YouTube.
I see 10.
10? Still horrible, but
25.
But this ASCOM alpaca, where everything's on the cloud as far as the drivers are concerned, and it's going to be pretty awesome to kind of, all these like even Dark Dragons observatories has gotten on the alpaca train. Pegasus has gotten on the alpaca train. A lot of other companies are starting to get involved. We had Bob Denny on the show 3 years ago, right, Pete? And
I think it's time to get Bob back on the show, to be honest with you.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Because it's time, because it's starting to gain a lot of traction. And to your point, Nico, this wireless kind of driver system, instead of having all this USB wires and stuff like that all over the place, possibility of failing, it's all going to start to become wireless, and I think it's going to be great, and it'll help people like me who really stink at wire management. I'm horrible.
My scope always looks like it's in bondage.
Well, Nico did a great video on that, because it was like, you have a setup, and then, okay, so now you want to put your other scope on the mount, but you are basically taking parts off the other setup to put on the new setup, and you end up with just wires everywhere.
All over the place.
You take your Velcro straps, you strap them up as best you can. You work the thing back and forth, make sure nothing's going to snag, but it doesn't mean that one of those cables, in the course of changing them over, didn't have something happen, and in the middle of the night, your cable to your mount stops working, and everything goes haywire. And you don't find out till the next morning when you wake up. You go, "What happened?"
Yep, it's definitely.
Hey, Dan, I got to talk to Bob tomorrow. Do you want me to reach him, talk to him about being on the show?
Yeah, do that, because I saw him on Global Star Party a couple of weeks ago, and I said something to him. So you could hit him up again as well.
Already?
But, yeah, absolutely. But we're coming close to the 2-hour mark. It looks like this is kind of where we kind of start wrapping it up a little bit. Why don't we just do a quick round robin? We'll start with Sean and end off to Nico. We'll do a little counterclockwise on any final thoughts that you guys might have for 2024.
You always ask me a final thought. I never have one.
I know. I figured you'd be quick. So.
Okay. Well, on to the next person.
Sean's final thought is, all right.
Nothing.
Ron's got nothing. Dave.
Nothing. No. I just.
I'm sorry. You just said you thought of something.
No, never mind. Everyone wants to talk over.
No,
That's fine.
Go. Nope.
No. I was just gonna echo what I think we've been saying throughout the show, and that 2024 is going to be really interesting to see what comes down the line in terms of the technological advancements, just the software, how AI is going to play into it all. We're really in a really amazing time to be living, to see the changes. Like when I was young, when I was a teenager and starting out in astrophotography, we didn't have computer control of telescopes. There was no auto guiding. I was sitting with an illuminated rectangle eyepiece and a little joystick trying to keep the star, centered. Yeah, it was absolutely. And I was on a ladder too. I was doing it with a 14.5-inch reflector, which was like just crazy, Yeah, it was insane what was going on at the time. But and I had a book that was talking about microcomputer control of telescopes, and it had little bits of code that you could use and stuff to do a little bit of experimenting in that. But it's just how far it's advanced is just mind blowing to me, and I'm really looking forward to 2024 and beyond with what's happening with the smart telescopes and AI and everything like that. How it's all going to fuse together, and how it's making this hobby not only better for those that are in it, but it also can open it up to more people that maybe didn't consider, an interest in astronomy or astrophotography. It can open it up for them, make it more accessible. which could actually translate into some other positive aspects, like with regards to, reducing light pollution and stuff. People understanding that problem in general and how it's so pervasive and spreading across the planet. So I think 2024 is going to be really interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to come up.
Nice.
And that's my final thought.
That's a fire thought. Dave?
All right, so I'm going to just go, like, when I was a teenager, I wasn't doing astrophotography. I may have been into astronomy, but I surely wasn't sitting there trying to dial in astrophotography like Sean was. But I've only been doing this for about 4 years. So for me, I think, like Sean, I'll go off what Sean said. I think ideally what we'd like to see coming in 2024 is the light pollution factor. I think it behooves all of us as a society to get the lights, dimmed down. Let people see the night sky and see what they're missing. I think, a lot of times when I share, the photos that I take and stuff with people, they're astounded. They're just like, you got that from your backyard in Springfield, Virginia, right outside the District of Columbia. And I'm like, yeah. And they're just like, they can't believe it. And it's like, I think it's just about outreach and getting people to understand and making people realize that, light pollution does a lot worse. Obviously it affects our hobby and everything like that, but it does other things as well that are bad for the environment and bad for, everybody around us. So I'd like to see that go, get a little more attention in 2024. Thanks, Nico, for coming on. Appreciate it. I always enjoy your videos. You always are very enlightening. I like your comparison videos. But other than that, that's about it. Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
Hey, Mr. Pete?
Well, I'm going to use this as an example from a commercial on TV that we've all seen, where there's a kid talking to these two other kids, and they said, "You guys don't realize how lucky you got it today." You're right. To segue what Sean said, believe me, back in the days of 2012, 2013, 2014, what we had to do is compared to what we got today, it's like night and day. And you're right, 2024 is going to bring up some really new, interesting technology, and one of them being what Bob Denny has with Ascom Alpaca. It's going to be very, very interesting to see when that gets a foothold. And like everything else, it's just hard getting it started. But once it gets started, the momentum and inertia takes over, and it just kind of self-perpetuates. Nico, always a pleasure seeing you on. It's a great to listen and see your images, some phenomenal images. And Dan, to you, it's a pleasure to get back on every now and then. I apologize I can't get on as much as I can, but it's always a treat to get back on, and some great stuff. Looking forward to it, and always a pleasure when I can get back on every now and then.
Awesome.
And can't wait to see what the new calendar is. I got to see what the calendar. You got to share it with me.
Oh yeah, the calendar is done. But Nico, any final thoughts for 2024? Ushering it in.
Yeah, thanks everyone for the nice words and the great conversation here, and it's been really fun to be on. And yeah,
we love you, Nico.
What else to say? I guess we didn't talk at all about NEAF, which is going to be, I think, later in April.
2021, I think.
And something I did last year at NEAC, which is like the imaging conference before NEAF, is present Cyril, and I guess SIRIL. It's a processing software that's free, and I guess it was the first time that it's been presented at NEAC. So I might do that again this year, just as a.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they said the organizers said that they wanted me to come back and continue talking about that software, because I guess it's nice to just have a free alternative that is pretty capable. So yeah, so I'll just put in a plug for Cyril. I'll try to keep working on that, demystifying it, making new videos on it. Yeah, and if anyone's going to be at NEAF, I'll hopefully see them there later in April. If I don't see you the Eclipse parties.
Oh yeah,
Thanks.
I know most of us will be at Astroworld. We'll have our table again this year. We'll have 2 tables this year. We'll have one for Astroworld TV and one for Astroworld telescopes with all the stuff I have behind me, you know,
Nice.
with lots of gear and stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And Pete, not for nothing, you know, you're talking about back in the day. We know that plate solving to you was like getting that nice metal plate and chisel and knocking out stars with all that. So
No. We used glass plates back then, Dan.
you went back that far. Okay, well that's at least we're not talking parchment paper, you know, with making it out of bear skins. But you know, but Nico, it's always great having you on the show. I mean, I appreciate the support with Astropalooza and seeing you over Starfest and Neef and Black. I've seen you like 3 or 4 times this year. It's been really really cool, and it's been really great to get to know you and chit chat with you and talk to you about all this kind of stuff. And we're really looking forward to seeing all the stuff you got coming in 2024. And I'm sure it'll be nothing but great. So thank you so much for hanging out with us for the past couple hours. It's definitely been a privilege. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. So everybody remember in case anybody's wondering, and I'm sure there's been something about the chat about Eric. Eric is fine. He's home. He's sleeping. Robin said he's good, his wife. So he's back at home recovering, maybe back by Friday. I don't know if I'd count on it. But definitely next Wednesday, he should be good to go. Wish him well and wish him a speedy recovery and all that. So just take it easy, buddy, and enjoy the time off. Don't forget, next Wednesday we have Maxi Palieres from Argentina coming on talking about, and he did a lot of cool stuff with just his iPhone the last time he was on. He was doing iPhone astrophotography. A lot of cool stuff.
That was some pretty good stuff.
Yeah. So but a lot of good stuff coming out in 24. So we're all on the lookout. If anybody has any ideas or anything, and don't forget to, if you've been watching what we do and liking what we do, please subscribe to the channel and hit us up wherever you want on whatever social media you have. We're on everything: Instagram, Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever you call it these days. We're on everything. So thank you again, Nico, for coming on and hanging out with us. Thanks to the rest of the panel as well. Sean, Dave, and Pete, thank you so much for hanging out as well. Once I hit the end stream, if you want to hang out for a little bit, you can. They'll still go on in the green room. But everybody, have a good night. It's 11:10 p.m. It's time to say good night. Maybe have a glass of wine and just go to bed. So thank you everybody for coming in. So, remember, as always, to keep imaging, to keep educating, and have some clear skies. We'll see you next time on Friday night. Have a good night, everybody.